Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Chalk Talk here in the DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel. Going to look at another potential target at wide receiver for the Steelers if they were to add to the roster. This one, they have already hosted him for a free agent visit, and that's Gabe Davis. He was released from the Jaguars with the actual reason being a failed physical. He had a torn meniscus last season. Again, the Steelers brought him in for a visit, didn't sign him. He left without a contract. Sometimes that indicates, okay, we were interested, but the health isn't where we want it to be, so no thanks. And sometimes that's we're interested, we'll see, but we might need to contact you in a couple of months and see where you are, a little bit down the road, see how you're healing up. And then if we revisit, we like what we see, then we'll, offer you a contract then. Maybe that's the situation. Who knows? Either way, let's get into some of the things that Gabe Davis can bring. Like, what would the Steelers' offense possibly look like if he were the guy that was ended up signed to play opposite DK Metcalf? You'd have a wide receiver core of Metcalf and then Gabe Davis, and then you'd have Calvin Austin, Ramon Wilson be able to play in the slot. Ben Skoranek would still be on the team, obviously primarily as a special teams guy, but able to come in and do some things every now and then. Remember, they have Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith at tight end, so those guys are going to be utilized quite a bit. Gabe Davis here, he is lined up as the outside receiver right here. And the Bills here are in a 2 tight end set. So they are in 12 personnel, 1 tight end, 2 tight ends. They're in 12 personnel. And I have this play here specifically because I can imagine this guy right here being DK Metcalf. If Gabe Davis is then the guy on the opposite side, which when we're talking about receiver positions, this guy right here is the X, this guy right here is the Z. Okay, X is always lined up more on the isolated side away from the strength of the formation. The strength of the formation is obviously over on this side. You have, obviously tight end and receiver over here, and then you move this tight end in motion to this side. The strength of the formation is then over here, which means, again, that's what it is. X always lines up on the other side. Z lines up with the strength of the formation. Gabe Davis lining up as the Z here. He is running just a deep, I'll call this a corner, but it's kind of this go route that kind of fades to the outside here. And the way that Gabe Davis is used more often than anything else is as a deep threat, a threat down the field. Looking at this season, now this is not last season. This is 2023 with the Bills. But even like last year with the Jaguars, where he wasn't used as often downfield. Gabe Davis's average depth of target last season with the Jaguars was 14.3 yards. That was 12th in the NFL. Actually tied for 12th with DK Metcalf, ironically enough. But if you go back to 2023, this season from which this game is from right here, and you go back and you look at that number, let me pull that up real quick. His average depth of target this was among receivers with at least 40 targets, was 15.6 yards. That ranked 8th in the NFL. So it was even more than it was with the Jaguars. And this is the way the Bills used him most often. Most often was as a guy who could help stretch stretch the field, take the top off the defense. Now the Dolphins here are showing a single high look as the tight end moves in motion to the other side of the formation. This tight end then comes crashing down to this side. This guy rotates back, and they're still in a single high look. And so this is how I kind of picture if teams were to line up single high, if DK Metcalf is over here and Gabe Davis is over here, and you have both guys running go routes, well, guess what? You don't have 2 safeties back that can help defend that. And you obviously want to have the 1 safety back shade over to this side because that's the more dangerous receiver, right? For the Bills here, it was Stephon Diggs. For the Steelers, it's going to be DK Metcalf. And so if you have Gabe Davis on the other side, there's not as much attention paid to him, and there's more stress on whoever's defending him, especially if it's man coverage, for that guy to make sure that he's locked down. And that is not what happens here. This guy does, he gets, the way this is run with, both Davis and the tight end there stacked together, they get a bit confused. The wrong guys get picked up. Both guys are really left wide open. This tight end's open, and he kind of runs this really deep kind of out here while Davis runs this kind of deep corner. And then because of, again, you have to do different, when you are able to do different things on this side of the formation over here to confuse coverage, whatever you need to do, that frees up Davis. Allen identifies it, hits him for the big pass down the field. There's no safety help over the top. That's the benefit. Now, if teams want to try to run more too high, for example, if it were like this and you're running into more of a too high look, well, the great thing there for the Steelers is even if they're running go routes here or they have a play that's called in which they're running those go routes, well, Aaron Rodgers can check at the line of scrimmage because a lot of these plays are going to have built-in checks, and then you can run the football because now there's no safety help to help come up and crash down and help defend the run. That's one less guy to be in the box because corners are going to be on the outside. They're going to be defending. You would have safeties playing back because you want to defend against the deep ball. So that's that's 4 guys who are not immediately responsible for going to the box to defend the run. So that gives you only 7 guys in the box, so the defense can't load the box. So that is the conundrum, that having a guy that can help take the top off the defense, that's what this can do. It can help you as an offensive coordinator set things up strategically to always have the advantage over the defense. And Gabe Davis, of all of the things that he does well, this is one of the things that he does very well, is being able to be a threat down the field. Next play here. Trying to remember here where I have. So we have Diggs here. He's running, and I think we have Davis. Yeah, Davis is actually the guy who's lined up on this side. And the Jaguars end up being here in Tampa 2 right here. So you got 2 deep safeties back here. They're covering the deep portion, the deep halves of the field. So when you talk about Tampa 2, you split the deep portion back, those 2 safeties. You've got these zones down here, and then you have this guy in the middle right here who is pretty much dropping way back into this deep portion right here. So it's like a pseudo cover 3. And what Gabe Davis was able to do here, outside of just being this, hey, just go run a go route, is when you are able to have a tight end that can help, attack that middle of the field against the Tampa 2 look, and you don't have, and then when you have that, which the Steelers do, they have both Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith, and when you have this tight end that will demand attention for, this deep Mike linebacker, potentially this safety looking over the top, a guy like Gabe Davis gets forgotten about. This guy's responsible for a curl flat, so he's not going to get enough depth. This guy right here is responsible for a hook curl, and he probably could get a little bit more depth, but whenever you have another option down here, he has to kind of keep an eye a little bit. And so when Davis is able to run this really, really, really deep kind of curl, there's a soft spot. It's pretty much when you have this zone look and it's Tampa 2, it's get beyond, these 4 guys that are right here and know that this safety is going to be too far back, know that this Mike linebacker is going to be occupied. So you can just sit down into this gigantic window right here. And when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, and yes, Aaron Rodgers can help identify this stuff too, and Rodgers still has the arm strength, and we know Josh Allen does, he can just fire a howitzer right there, get it into the window, and there you go. Really nice chunk taken out of the defense. This Gabe Davis can do this stuff too. Davis is also a very, very capable blocker. Here he is here split out wide. You have Khalil Shakir, the slot receiver. They are running this quick little screen here. And what you're hoping to do is block this guy. Gabe Davis is hoping to block this guy. And Allen is trying to hit this pass quickly enough so that he can catch and then run to the outside of this block, which would then pick this defender. So this block has to be executed well. And you can see here, Gabe Davis checks and makes sure, okay, everything's good there. And the other really good thing is that this guy comes in for a blitz, so that makes the play work even better. So when this safety comes crashing down to try to take this away, he's in a bad position to try to get anything, because the only way he could possibly do this is to try to bounce to the outside. But then if you do that, then you leave this wide open and he could just run for days. So he's going to immediately crash down here. But with Shakir catching this, and then Davis, and the thing is, this isn't even a good throw. He needed to lead him more to the outside, because if he's able to catch this in stride and then just able to bounce this to the outside, as long as the block is thrown well, there's no way this safety can get there. And so despite that, he's able to bounce this to the outside, and Davis gets the necessary outside leverage right there so that Shakir can run to the outside of him. So he secures it, and whenever that happens, the safety has nowhere else to go, and so this block effectively takes out two guys. And you have to be strong in your position if that's going to be the case, which Gabe Davis is. Throws a nice block against the outside corner, and then Shakir is able to run for days down the sideline and get a really nice gain. So Gabe Davis, effective blocker as well. Is he the best blocking receiver in the league? No. But he's a willing blocker, and he can be an effective blocker. He doesn't bat 1,000. There were definitely times on the film in which he did whiff. Not the only time we've seen that. He's not the best guy to be part of that, but he can be part of it, and that's what's important. The one part of Gabe Davis's game that seems to be a little bit more inconsistent is the intermediate game. Short, and this was the case with with both the Bills in 2023 and with the Jaguars last season. As a matter of fact, with the Jaguars last season, when it comes to the short game, Gabe Davis had the 12th best passer rating, whenever quarterbacks were targeting him in passes that were targeted 0 to 9 yards downfield. Quarterbacks had the 12th highest passer rating when targeting him at 125. That's pretty darn good. That means efficiency. And none of those were interceptions. That's a very, very high catch rate. Let's see if we have a completion percentage. I don't think we know. No completion percentage. And that's only an average depth of target of 4.9 yards. So that's not far downfield. We're talking hitches. We're talking slants. We're talking quick outs. Quick outs are a big thing. Gabe Davis runs really good quick outs. Slants, he's not as crisp when it comes to running slants. But again, the quick game seems to be a part of what he can do. That matters when it comes to playing with Aaron Rodgers. The intermediate game seems to be a little lacking. That's where he ends up kind of dropping the most of his passes. For example, last season, he dropped no passes on the short area of the field when it came to 0 to 9 yards. In the intermediate portion of it, let me find that really quick. Gabe Davis, let's see. Let me just take this off really quick. I gotta get the right filter here. Gabe Davis, it was not nearly as strong, and I can't pull it up right now. But either way, I did have it pulled up earlier. It wasn't as strong, and you can kind of see it here. He just runs this nice little 12-yard curl, 12-yard hitch. And he's got the separation. The stop is nice and everything. It's right on the money. There are just too many of these times in which he just kind of drops a pass that shouldn't be dropped. He had 4 total drops last year. Overall, his drop percentage was, let's see, I do have that here. His drop percentage was 8. So in 2023, it was 8.2%, which, like top 20 of and that's like top 20 of like highest percentages. And then last season, his drop percentage was a little higher. I think it was like 9.1%. It's a little too high. And so it's not terrible. I think he was 32nd in the league last year in terms of drop percentage. You'd like to see a little bit more consistency there. 9.1%, 32. 32nd highest drop percentage among receivers with 40 targets. So, but what Gabe Davis can bring, willing blocker, need that in Arthur Smith offense, can help take the top off of the defense, force defenses to play in more too high looks, which could help benefit the run game. And when they don't, then you end up having just a single high look. And then if you're running 2 deep routes with Davis and Metcalf, you're guaranteed to have one of those guys without safety help over the top. And that's always a good thing. So it's about having schematic advantages, and I think Gabe Davis would provide that. So we'll see what happens. This may all be for naught, but at least, if this does end up happening, the Steelers do end up signing Gabe Davis, you have a little bit better of an idea of what he'll bring to the table. So you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday with another Chalk Talk, but until then, we'll see you later.